everybody, and welcome to the newest edition of Bucs Bounty. Michael McKenry, Stephen Brault, and today joining us here on Bucs Bounty, a very special guest, Johnny Leonard, the manager of the youth baseball and softball programs for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and just the kind of the jack of all trades who does everything. He works in the community so much, doing so many great things for the Pirates and young people in the area of Pittsburgh and around that area. Johnny, so thank you for joining us. How you doing today, man?
Doing awesome, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm excited to, talk about the great work that the Pirates are doing in the community and, our collaboration together with SMP. I'm really excited. Thanks for having me on.
Johnny, before we start that, I want to hear about Johnny Leonard, the guy that scored 1,000 points as a basketball player in the WPIAL. I want to hear about that guy. I want to hear about the basketball guy, Johnny, the golf guy, Johnny, the guy that hit 556 in high school, Johnny. I haven't got to hear a lot about that.
Let's open up the yearbook, right? Let's take it way back. I grew up in a baseball family. My dad actually was drafted 6 times, which I think still is a record today. Yep, 6 times.
That's many times.
Yep. So, most people obviously sign after their first, maybe not the first or second time, but this is back when, January also had a draft. It was the second, they called it the January secondary draft. So my dad went to JUCO after getting drafted out of high school, went to JUCO. So got drafted out of high school twice out of his first year at Yavapai, 2 more times out of his second year at Yavapai, went to Louisiana Lafayette, was drafted the 6th time, finally signed with the Orioles and played. Obviously started from him. Obviously he wanted us to get in the game. So growing up playing every sport, but really, diving into baseball. I would say baseball was obviously my favorite up until about middle school. And I started to kind of excel in some hoops and actually took baseball off completely in my 8th and 9th grade year. Didn't even play baseball. Didn't even play. Played serious travel basketball, went to Vegas and did all those different, tours in that sense. 9th grade.
Huh? Love it.
Yeah, nice, exactly. 9th grade, I tried out, made the freshman team, obviously got back into baseball, had a really good year. I think I had like 8 home runs as a freshman. So then I was like, man, I'm actually okay at baseball. Maybe I should get back into it a little bit more. 10th grade, I shifted from being serious about basketball to going to baseball, and then obviously got drafted out of high school, and pursued my baseball career. But in high school, I also played golf and basketball. Still, I didn't take basketball serious, but still, whenever it was basketball season, I was all in. And as you alluded to earlier, Michael, I did score about 1,500 points in high school. So I'm second all time in my school history on the points chart.
I'm sorry. I just have to say, you just said
just quietly,
that
right?
I didn't. Yeah, right. He goes, I didn't take basketball too seriously, and then scores 1,500 points in high school in the same sentence, mind you. You didn't even. There wasn't even a break there. I was like, I didn't take it too seriously. So just like 1,500 points in high school.
Yeah, I probably worded that wrong. I didn't train outside of the season, I guess is a better way to put it.
Yeah, you just averaged over 20 your last 2 years. No big deal.
Yeah. It was fun though. What I loved more about basketball than baseball is I felt like I could control a little bit more, as you guys know. And obviously failure is a little bit easier to deal with in basketball because if you miss a shot, you can go right back down within seconds and make the next one. So as opposed to waiting innings before your next at bat or to make the next pitch or whatnot. Yeah. So
wild. You didn't even mention your brother, by the way.
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so Joe, my brother, he also was drafted 3rd round out of Pitt. He went to Pitt. He made his minor league career a lot longer than I did. He made it up to AAA, was in big league camp for a couple years. Was supposed to be the guy for the Braves. Obviously, things took a different course, but he was definitely someone I looked up to and try to follow my career after. So it was great to have him in my life as well.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, getting to professional baseball, no matter how long you play or what level you get to, it's always an incredible achievement. There's just not that many guys that get that opportunity. What is something that you took from your time, working in baseball, playing in professional baseball, that is something that as your career has gone on, you've gone through a few different things now. Obviously, now you're working the programs for the Pirates and
Yep.
baseball and softball. What do you kind of take from what you learned playing pro ball into your career now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, honestly, I get asked a lot when I talk about my career, ex career, obviously. But a lot of people ask me, like, do I regret going from high school and skipping college and kind of not going that route? And I've always said the same answer, and it kind of answers your question here is honestly going from I graduated, so let's just say June 7th, and I was on a plane to Arizona June 9th. So honestly, taking that route made me have to be a man, like, quick and figure it out, because I was quickly out of my house, living on my own with older 24-year-old roommates. Like, that part of baseball, made my life shape, kind of go accelerate to be more self-sufficient and understand, try to be, like I said, be more of a man. And I think I'm going to take more from that than any other lesson that I've learned in the game, and helping me to shape my career. I understand now. I've learned about failure. Obviously, I struggled in the minor leagues, learned adversity to get over it, and how to deal with it. But to answer your question, I think the strengthening of knowing who I am as a person, from what I learned going from high school straight to the pros, has helped me, throughout my whole career here so far. So I guess that would be my answer, to your question there.
So, Steven, I think you're going to be in shock here. You may already know this, but they only played 20 games in Pennsylvania in high school. I said 20.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah, we played 50 in Tennessee, almost the same weather. So, Johnny, you had 556, and I'm going to mention some names. Cole Young, Alex Kirilloff, and Neil Walker are the only other guys that I could find that were ranked number one at their position in the state as an infielder, and got drafted out of high school and went. Was it a culture shock, bro? Because, like, you're talking about 20 games and then going into 142, 45 plus instructs plus all the other stuff you're doing with early work, because it's a lot different when you signed in 2011 than it is now. How did that culture shock? Obviously, you said you had to be a man.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a whole different being when you come out of high school, because you are in extended spring training. You are in the desert. You're in a mess. How did you handle that? And I believe you did get to go to Phoenix, right? You did get to go to Scottsdale. You didn't have to go to Tucson, right?
Yeah, our first year, the first year of the new complex was the year, so 2011. Yeah. No, I think honestly,
just talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So 20. Yeah, you mentioned 20 games. That's if there's no rain and snow here in the city, obviously, as you know. And if they're exhibition games, they don't get made up. So I think my senior year we might have played like 16 or 17. I'll have to go back and look, but
man,
it was less.
Isn't that
less
crazy?
Than 20.
That's not baseball. That's a rec league.
You can't go over. You can't go over in a game and expect your average to be where it's at. So I mean, you had to show up every day to play. But to your point about the culture shock, I think being so amped up and getting drafted to get to pro ball, like that first year, I don't think hit me as much as probably the second year. The first year, I was all about all the extra work, getting all those reps, and like you still kind of feel like you're on top of the world after getting drafted. I think where it really set in, even in my first offseason, I was so excited to go back. And I think where it set in, the culture shock of how much of a grind it is probably that second year. Going into spring training, still kind of excited that you get told you're going to stay back again in extended spring training, and just kind of getting those early days, like you're saying, getting all that extra work in, playing a game at 1:00 in the afternoon, right in the middle of the heat. And then, after the game work, all that stuff, it really hit me the second year, understanding, man, this is like, if you're not mentally in this thing 100%, it's going to eat you alive. Like I said, I started feeling that in my second year. And it's like the people who battle that are the ones that stay the course and make it ultimately the whole way. So that the culture shock, as much as the talent is plays an element too, but for me it was the grind of the daily, all those things that you alluded to, the practice, the extra work, just the mental capacity that it takes to know tomorrow it's the same thing, and the next day it's the same thing, and the next day and the next day. And the next day.
Yeah,
like that wears on you for sure.
Johnny, real quick before we move on from that, explain to the people watching what your day was like, because you're going from being in a high school class as a senior, which really is a joke, to now you're in baseball class all day long. Then you play at 1 o'clock. Most of the time, they don't turn on the scoreboards for those games. At least they didn't back then. You have no average. You have no wins, losses, and they're trying to get you to develop. And you're like, dude, I just win. I don't know what you mean, develop. Developing is winning, but there's no wins. So you're just kind of in this merry-go-round. So explain what it's like day to day when you say you're waking up and doing the same thing over and over again, because you do this for what, 3 months?
Yeah, so it's basically, April, let's just say you get there for spring training and, late March, you don't break camp. You're there clear until June. So you're there easily 3 months, 3 months straight through when you combine spring training and extended. But no, you get there. Ouch. You get there early. Spring trainings are early, man. 6:30 breakfast call, I believe it was, and then first round of early work was like right around 7:45, 8, and then you had roll into team practices. So before the game, you're putting in 3 or 4 hours of work just before game time. And again, it's you're not keeping score. You're subbing in here, subbing in there. Stuff's flying around everywhere. It's hard to start to stay focused on what the task is and understand that they got to get 40 other guys in the lineup as well. So you're not probably getting the attention that you think you deserve. You're showing up in the cage, early work, and it ain't just you anymore. It's 40 other guys that are as good or better than you that coaches also have to dedicate their time to. So it's one of those things. You got to be mentally strong, and you got to be in it for yourself just as much as you are. You got to be selfish in the game. You got to want it. You can't be afraid of what other people think of you, whether that means staying late and getting some extra reps in. Your teammate may be making fun of you, but honestly, that's just, you got to do it. You got to do it. If you want to win in this game, that's what you got to do.
Also,
yeah, I've always noticed that those types of guys that are the kind of guys that make fun of you for working hard or working extra, most of those guys seem to peter out before making it up the level. It's not, because usually that says something about their work ethic, which of course, it's always interesting to see that. I kind of wanted to ask you, so interestingly, after you finish playing baseball, eventually now you're here working for the Pirates in the capacity you are working with children. I wanted to see what this progression to this current job that you have now, and where that kind of came from for you.
Yeah, so I got released 2014. After that, it took a few months, like kind of understanding myself, what I wanted to do. In that same time frame, going back to school. I actually started school as I was playing, finished up after I was playing. But getting a degree, number one, that was priority for me. Trying to check that box to make sure my future, if I ever need that, I'm going to have it. But eventually, I know you don't need it. You definitely don't need it. But
just finished my semester.
Michael's getting his right now.
Yeah,
did you get yours
I
yet?
know.
Are you done, Michael?
I'll be done in May.
Good for you, Michael. Yeah.
Awesome.
Again,
Sorry,
there's
Johnny.
plenty of options that you don't need it. For me, it was, again, that was something I wanted to see through. I think it was more of a goal, personal goal than anything. But no, me and my brother, he got released shortly after me. And we both loved the idea of sharing, what we've been taught to children. And obviously it was a business aspect of it too. We needed to make some money. So we started up, we rented from a facility near our hometown in Uniontown. The guy was really willing to work with us to kind of get us off our feet. So we started the training aspect of lessons, and we had a few teams kind of grinded out that. And we saw a huge jump from year one to year two. A lot of people were buying in to what we were teaching and understanding, we're good guys and we care about, your son or daughter. So that really kind of took off. And then, as you know, with marriage, when you marry the girl of your dreams, you tend to kind of go where she's from. So it brought me closer to Pittsburgh. Partnered with a facility here in Pittsburgh, which is now a Pirates training center, which we can get into later. But started giving lessons and started to run a travel program out of there for basically for all 8 years before coming to the Bucs here in 2022. So from 2015 to 2022, I was again an instructor giving lessons, helping coach kids, but as well as running a travel program.
And Johnny, like, I think all three of us have this knack is like we just dive in. Like, how can we figure it out fast? We just go at it, right? We just have an action and we just say, okay, where did I mess up? And kind of fill those gaps and learn from the mistakes. I think it may be the baseball player in us. When it comes to getting off the field and starting to rent a space, start a travel team, talk a little bit about how you did have a big jump from year 1 to year 2 through your learning experiences, because like one passion you have as a youth baseball, softball director is you want to help the coaches coach.
Right.
It's the biggest probably hiccup when it comes to the youth is there's just a dad that is gracious enough to give his time, but he played soccer. He's just doing his best, right?
Yeah.
Or he teaches what he learned 22 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The reality of it is you have to kind of learn and adapt on the fly. Talk a little bit about how you learned and how you grew from one year to the next and kind of how it's evolved over time to where you are now.
Yeah. So, going from pro ball to running a business and more importantly, trying to help, children also reach the same dream that we had, you got to treat each individual different. That's the biggest takeaway for us was you can't bring in a cookie cutter mentality and start working with these kids because every kid that shows up is different. So what we really learned was, to treat each kid different, but you got to have trust with the kid. Number one, you got to build trust. So the first few sessions with kids is get to know them, be a friend of them. The more that you can relate to them on a personal level, the more they're going to buy into what you're teaching. And that's kind of our way to help, coaches coach here is knowing the skills and the drills and all that stuff and the mechanics behind things is awesome. But if you can't connect with the player, they're never going to retain what you're giving them or never going to want to retain from what you're trying to teach them. So the biggest thing is connecting with kids at their level is the biggest takeaway that we've saw. And again, it stays through to what I'm doing right now. If you want kids to buy in, if you want coaches to listen to what we're talking about, you need some validity. You need to be able to, explain to them on a personal level, not a corporate level. We need to connect with them via text message. They got to trust you more than just sending an email here and there.
So part of that, I think, is realizing as you coach, learning what kids need to figure out specific now about baseball. What is something that you've found before we get into more about what the programs that you have worked in have done? I'm just curious, as a coach of children, what is the most common thing that you see that you think kids at home or when they go try to play baseball with their friends or whatever is something that you see often that you have to coach out of kids when they come and play with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I think it's about educating the kids that aren't as good as some of their friends right now, that it's okay. Just because Tommy at 12 years old is a lot better than Nick at 12 years old doesn't necessarily mean at 18 it's going to stay the same, right? A lot of kids develop later in their career. A lot of kids, probably the majority of the kids will develop late. So the biggest thing is just trying to keep these kids from on the path of playing the game. The longer you can play it, you're going to be able to see your full potential. And you see a lot of kids that kind of fizzle out, just from a point of just kind of not being confident in their skill set. But who's to say, again, at 12 years old, if Tommy or Nicky's going to go play Division I baseball, it's impossible. Yeah, sure, you can have some kids that are really good at this age, but there's no 12-year-old in the country that can play varsity baseball right now at their high school team, not one 12-year-old kid. So they have 3 or 4 more years to even get to high school. And I think that's what we have to explain to kids now is don't give up, continue to have fun, but you got to work hard, along the way. But where you're at right now isn't going to be where you're at in a couple of years.
So to put that in perspective, I was 12. I was 5'9", 175. I was hanging on the rim. They called me man-child, throwing 86 off the bump. Well, guess what? I didn't grow another inch, guys. So yes, Johnny, you're exactly right. I was a early bloomer, early developer. I was shaving. I was the guy everybody was asking for the birth certificate. hit 34 homers as a 12-year-old. Never did that again. It is a reality that everybody needs to know. You're exactly right, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I had an awesome conversation with Donnie Kelly yesterday too. We were talking, and he's told me before, but specifically yesterday, he went to Point Park, as you guys know, which was at the time was an NAIA school, which is obviously below Division I or someone that you think a major league player would be at. But I think he said something that he got like $4,000 in scholarship money total throughout his 4 years, which is crazy to think about. And we're talking about a guy who played a lengthy career in the big leagues, obviously a big league coach, but in high school he was a second baseman and he was DH for as a hitter. So he played but he actually got DH for, so he didn't even get the bat. And again, we're talking about a guy who made it to the big league. So everyone develops differently. Yeah, everyone develops differently. But if you're not obviously working hard, you're never going to get there. But trust it. Just because you're not as good as the guy next door right now doesn't mean you're going to be that way in a couple years.
No one destroys a baseball like O'Neal Cruz.
That is the hardest hit ball in known Major League history.
Pitchers should consider themselves warned.
And it is gone! There's a Cruz missile!
Log in with your cable provider and stream the Pirates all season long on SNP 360.
Okay, so I'm going to ask, both you guys are parents. It's a dream of mine. It will happen at some point. Johnny, you're almost to your starting five. You're getting closer and closer year in, year out.
Right.
But I want to talk about that aspect. It's the one thing that I think you're very, very incredibly good at is dealing with the parents and having them trust you, because a lot of what we're talking about in my mind and what I've seen doesn't necessarily come from the kid. It's the anxiety dropped on top of them like an atomic bomb from mom and dad. It's almost like they want it more. They want to be cool in the stands. Like, hey, look at little Tommy out there. He's 5'9" and 11 years old. Shooting in a 32 rocket ship. I mean, who cares, right? Like, how do you get across to them? Because that's one thing I think you've kind of floored me with, because I've seen it good. I've seen it bad. You do it great.
And I mean, appreciate you saying that. I mean, again, I think it's be yourself. If you're not being yourself, you always kind of fake the attitude that you're giving out, fake the vibes that you're giving out. So first and foremost, just be you, and it becomes really easy in a sense of not having to worry about what you're saying. Just be your true, genuine self. But I think for me, I'll just talk about the teams that I help coach. We always bring the parents together. And just kind of set forth some expectations and some guidelines for the year to come. But I do think a lot of it is from the vibes that the head coach can give off, right? If we're not in practice screaming, if we're not going with AWOL, we're communicating with the player, face to face and explaining to him what he did or didn't do wrong, as opposed to yelling at him. I think the parents, again, not everyone will, but the parents that have some sense in them, they kind of see and trust their instructor that they're ultimately putting their child's development behind, and they feed off that. So that's in my space. I think in my personal past few years, a lot of it has just come from the practices that we do, the communication that we have from parents, as far as there's no scouts in our stands, right? At 12, 13, 14 years old, don't expect your kid's not going to get a scholarship today. Let's continue to get better, 1% better each day, and go from there. And I think, again, people buy into the coach's vibe, and I'm fortunate enough that we've had a lot of really good parents throughout the year on my side that kind of haven't budged in. But I'm also, I'm not afraid to, if someone's over the top, I'll approach them and be like, hey, you got to back down. What you're doing, it isn't working. Those are difficult conversations. They are. I'm not a very confrontational guy at all. Any volunteer coach or even a paid coach, you're going to have those parents, and it's better just to address them. The longer you let that eat away at you, eat away at the kid, the worse it's going to get. So it takes some guts, takes some, I don't know. It's fearful, but you got to have the conversation. Let them know, like, hey, you're not helping the situation. If you don't like it, maybe this isn't the place for you. Time to move on.
You talk about the confidence of these young players. Michael, you'll love this. So I just talked to Merlin Valdez out here in Arizona, and he had an incredible season this year in the minor leagues, kind of broke out, right? So I asked him, hey, man, what did you do differently this offseason that, what did you change that got you to this point of this year? And he goes, I didn't change my workouts. I didn't change anything I did. I just decided that I was going to be more confident. And he just said, every time I go up to the plate this year, I just said, I'm better than this guy on the mound. And just like that fake confidence just shot his performance through the roof. They talk about that confidence in kids, building that kind of confidence and where it can come from. I think a great coach is a really big part of that a lot of times. Having a coach who believes in you, who takes that personal stance and actually gets to know you. I think all of that stuff can really have a huge impact on not just a kid's baseball life, but also on his life in general. One of the reasons I think coaching the youth is something incredible. And, it's amazing that you do this. I was going to ask you, what do you think about the year-round approach to a single sport devotion? We see it in baseball, obviously, we see it in basketball, football, anything. People are now starting to specialize in sports a lot earlier than when we were kids. I didn't score 1,500 points in basketball in high school, but I played a little bit of football. I was okay. When I was a kid, I played everything. Every season was a different sport. Talk about, kind of what you see as a coach of youth players now, and what you feel about that new sort of trend of the year-round sport.
Yeah, no, I mean, sadly, I think it's, a lot of kids are obviously going to one sport only, which I personally think is not a good thing. I think people are obviously in the mindset that for you to kind of make it as far as, the big league level, that you have to commit to one sport and one sport only and practice every single day. As you see, there's first rounders every year that get drafted in the first round, but they also play in multiple sports. So I think that obviously shows like a voice of reasoning. But I'm like, for me, the message that I would put out is, multi-sport athletes are by far going to be way more successful in their future career than not. But that's not to say also, like, if you love baseball, yeah, sure, you could hit year round, but does it need to be every single day? No, like, you could take a couple reps during basketball season, football season, like, if you want to go in the cage, as long as it's fun for you, I don't see that being a problem. But now if it's forced, that's where the issue becomes, right? If you're forcing yourself every day to go in there, it's probably more important, bro, on the throwing side. Obviously, you definitely don't want to throw year round. Obviously, you need to give your arm a break. But again, for me, I'm an advocate for multi-sport. The guy who drafted me actually out of high school came to every one of my basketball games and watched me, and I truly believe why I was drafted was also because I was an athlete in basketball, and they could watch me move, and the way they can anticipate at that next level, from a shortstop perspective, which I got drafted as, how's he going to move in the infield? How's his feet? Like, you can see a lot of things through different sports. I guess that was kind of a long way around your answer, but for me, I don't want. I'm a huge advocate for multi-sports. I don't think you should, obviously specialize in one. I think it's bad. You're not just think of all the muscles too that you work in different sports that you wouldn't do in baseball. You're developing your body to get that much better, at a young age by playing multiple sports.
So, Johnny, I want to allude back to something that Brault said about trying to coach things out of kids. The one big thing I see constantly is they forgot how to be an athlete. Yeah, these guys that are specializing, and I would say this: you don't have to play on the high school team when it comes to basketball. Play rec basketball. Just do things that lets your body open up, keep that mobility, and move differently. So when you do go to baseball, whether you do it every day or not, that should be the kid's choice. Because the biggest thing I see, I think you guys have seen too, is burnout. Right? You're jumping to this tournament, to this tournament, to this tournament. If the kid's not leading that in some aspect, saying, I want more, then he's eventually going to hit a wall. And that's when the work starts to become forced. When he doesn't want to, maybe doesn't have a knack or a good relationship with this hitting coach he's working with. Well, get him out Get them out and about,
Yep.
do different things. You can also play a multi-sport by playing multiple positions. Weird, right? You don't have to specialize at 14, which is nuts.
Yep.
Go be an athlete, right? It's so important because, like, Johnny, to your point, back in the day, they would come watch you play other sports. Now there's so much going on. They even put in a dead period, which is completely for MLB, has nothing to do with for the kids because they're going to go train me. And Brault talked about that a bunch. It's actually probably worse for the kids, right? Because it's not as organized. But the reality of it is you have to take that ownership. You have to learn. And Johnny, I want to take that into my next question. Where's all this going for you before we kind of work backwards? Because you obviously have a giant passion for coaching, for building programs. You've joined youth baseball and softball, which we'll get into all the things you've done. But like for you, what's the big picture? I always like to think about that first and work backwards of where you are now.
Yeah. Honestly, it sounds cliche probably, but for me, I want to see every single kid in this area at least get an experience, the game of baseball or softball. I want them to have a chance to see what I loved out of it, what I took away from it. And for me, my goal, again, is to get baseball and softball in front of every single kid, at an instructional level, get them involved, let them decide if they want to, obviously retain and stay with it. But I think, the more kids that we can get involved in the sport, again, you learn so much from it. The more kids are gonna be better off as adults. The game of baseball and softball, it just, man, it gives you so much. And again, I want to make sure every single kid has a chance to kind of experience that.
I
love
Please.
you and I, you've helped me a ton too with the stuff that I'm doing. Like, there's nothing better for me than to finish up a camp or a clinic and just see some of the smiles and the enjoyment that the kids have. Like, do I hope that they got better? Absolutely. But ultimately, my biggest goal is for them to walk away happy and wanting to come back.
Yeah.
I love that. And a lot of the passion for the game comes from loving the game. So you gotta love it.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is, I remember as a kid just loving going to the baseball field and just having fun. Yeah, you're building skills and you work hard, but that's part of the fun, right? I mean, that's that's the best part.
He got him, and he's done it again.
Welcome to Unobstructed Views.
We're at BP. We're going to get an inside look.
Once you start loving each other, you start fighting for each other.
Welcome to Coach's Corner. And he'll admire it, and so will we.
Is that too much to ask for?
Oh, baby.
So I wanted to just quickly remind everybody here with Johnny Leonard, the manager of the baseball and softball youth programs for the Pittsburgh Pirates. We have spent about 30 minutes here talking about you, and I absolutely love that. But I want you to talk about what you are doing now with the Pirates in the community of Pittsburgh. Some programs you guys are running, some partnerships you guys have. I know you have an annual equipment drive. Just kind of get into what you guys have been doing recently to really get into the city of Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas.
Yeah, so as the title mentions, I oversee all of our youth baseball and softball strategy, and basically what that means is from the high school level clear down through T-ball, the 3 and 4 year olds. My goal, as I mentioned, is to get every kid a chance to play the game, right? So we do that through a ton of different outlets that we provide as the Pirates. We view it as kind of 2 separate buckets, right? Access driven and growth driven. Access being we want to make sure kids who can't play the game, whether it's from a demographic standpoint, from a finance standpoint, that we're giving those kids the opportunity to play, and there's no hurdles to jump through. And then also from a growth perspective, for the kids that are playing currently, let's tap into those kids and let's allow them to have even more fun, give them more resources to grow as a player, to grow as a person. The biggest initiative that we do here at the Pirates is we run our Pirates RBI program. This year we had 2,000 kids in the city of Pittsburgh play over 500 games from April through July. I think it's something that a lot of Pittsburghers probably don't even know that's happening. We have me and my team, we have direct connection with the city of Pittsburgh to help operate and execute that. And the Pirates, and obviously from our chairman, Bob Nutty, like, we are fully supportive of those kids and trying to limit the expense on those athletes to play the game. So we partner with the city. We give grants to over 20 communities in the city. We have over 2,000 kids, and they all play a minimum of 12 games. We play championships here at PNC Park. So that's just one of our areas. Obviously, that would be more access, making sure kids are playing. But we also, we go out and we do resource fairs. We do camps and clinics. Michael's been a huge part of that for us. When we can bring someone, with the background of Michael, it always elevates everything we do. So we'll do, roughly between 20 and 25 camps or clinics throughout the year. We do numerous resource fair, from coaches clinics to just, general knowledge of helping local coaches understand the game better, both from a mechanical standpoint, but also behind the scenes. We help them, operate their organizations better and more smoothly to ultimately help the kids in the long run. We do a Fields for Kids program, which we partner with, AHN and some other groups on, that we supply funding for kids and communities to better their fields. A safe field is going to, obviously be a lot better than an unsafe field. So we want to make sure these fields are playable. Again, we do so much here. I wish that our goal is to continue to offer and understand, to allow kids to know that the Pittsburgh Pirates are here for you. Let us know what you need, and we're able to get you to be able to play the game.
Johnny, you make this engine move. You're going to be humble about it, but talk about some of the partnerships. You have EL1, you have Diamond Kinetics. You do a lot at Bianco. You just mentioned AHN, even the sports complex there. Talk about how that kind of came to be, because that has to be like, you come in, you're a baseball dude, now you're doing business stuff, right? Like, talk about that, because like what you did with EL1 is really cool. I don't think a lot of people know about it, but my favorite is what you did with Diamond Kinetics last year in the Young Bucks, or Future Bucks program.
Yeah. So we'll start with EL1. So EL1 it's a sports facility company. If you don't know that, they're official partner of Major League Baseball, and their goal and motto is to give access to high quality instruction to any kid in the country. So we partnered with them in 2023 officially. I met with some of their leadership team, and I love the goal, right? We want to get as many kids playing, allow them access to proven track record instructors that families can take their kids to and feel confident that they're getting the instructions that they need. And at the end of the day, the partnership for EL1 and our Pirates training centers, which we have 2 of them now, is to allow us, space that we can bring our RBI kids who currently don't have a local facility. We can bring them to our Bianco, to my brother's place, and give them access to TrackMan, to hit tracks, to Rapsoda, all these different technology that can ultimately better their careers. That was a huge improvement for our side to be able to land that partnership. And again, we're trying to figure out how to continue to grow those and to make that even better than what it is. And I promise you that as long as I'm here, I'm going to keep fighting for our kids and to get all that access that they need to be successful. Mike, you mentioned Diamond Kinetics, which is a Pittsburgh-based company. They do swing tracker. Obviously, they have it's a bat sensor that goes on the bottom of your bat, and it kind of relays information back to an app. I will give them a lot of praise. They went from being so in the weeds with numbers to now trying to materialize those numbers into a fun aspect of training, which they've done a tremendous job on. Now kids can understand the reason why these numbers mean what they mean, but also gamify it to the point where they can have fun doing it, right? Hitting off a tee could be boring, but if I'm trying to beat a high score of the kid down the street, I'm going to be more entitled or more willing to want to get out there and start working. So we partner with them, kind of leveraging their existing technology, but we added that programming into a Future Bucs program here at the Pirates that we started up last year, basically for the kids who are a little bit past that young fan stage that are I want to play baseball or softball a little bit more. I want to learn a little bit more. I'm a little bit more serious. I want to kind of go down this path a little bit more. we partner with DK to improvise this Future Bucks kit. So basically, they'll get the sensor, they get some swag from us that Mike actually had a lot of input on. They get a hat, a shirt. They get a free training certificate at our Pirates training centers that they can, leverage their certificate to go in and get a one-on-one lesson. They get tickets to a Pirates game. I mean, they get a whole plethora of stuff, custom batting gloves. Little plug, but it's only $149. I mean, if you really add all that stuff up, it's like well over $400. So the Pirates are offsetting that cost to get these kids to want to enjoy the game, right? And in this day and age, swagger in the game is a big part. So, kids that are in the program, they're showing off their custom BGs. They're loving it. It's a really cool thing.
It's called drip, Johnny.
Yeah, drip.
Drip, baby.
How about that drip, baby?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah, I'm curious, as this program has gone on, are there players that you guys have seen go off to college, go off to a different, in professional baseball or whatever it is, that you guys have seen kind of grow out of this system that you guys have helped push along in their career?
Yeah, so our partnership started in 23 with the EL1 component. Since then, there's been probably well over a dozen Division I, Division II guys. But prior to the partnership, which obviously we were retaining that same structure, there was well over 800 guys. I think 60 draft picks and numerous MLB guys have flowed through. So again, that's our goal, right? We're trying to give access for these kids to let's try to find the next David Bednar, but we can't find that guy if we don't have the tools and the stuff necessary for them to develop as players. So again, that's kind of our reasoning behind why the partnership is so worthy for us,
Yeah, Johnny. I mean, when it comes to that, I'm going to kind of go into that recruiting side real quick because it's a mess. NIL, all that stuff. How are you helping guys navigate that? I mean, I met a 14-year-old with an advisor. I threw up a little bit and I had to walk away. I didn't know what to say. He was speaking on a 14-year-old's behalf. I'm like, you're not the dad. You're not a brother. You're an advisor? Right? So how are you dealing with all that? Because it really is. You go from kids that have nothing, not catching equipment, not a cup. Some of them don't even have a glove, and you're working with them. And then you have the swaggiest of swag, got all the drip, have the advisor. They're going D1, possibly going to be drafted. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, today's age and recruiting and all that is just it's chaos, is what it is. I kind of feel bad for the high school guys who probably get kind of the back seat now with the portal and all that stuff. But here at the Pirates, what we can do is again try to educate every kid that has the potential to go to the next level. That's our goal, is to educate them on that process. So what we do is we have a couple of recruiting seminars throughout the year. We bring in a really qualified kind of college liaison. He used to run a huge travel program here, but has a lot of connections with college coaches and kind of bridges that gap for us. And, we invite every kid that wants to understand that process a little bit more, the dead periods and the whole portal side of it, all the clearinghouse, which is a huge aspect of college athletics. We bring people in here at PNC Park, and we invite all of our athletes to come understand that better. So again, my job here is to give these kids the information that they need to make those decisions. Ultimately, it's their decision, their parents' decision. But what we can do is to give them everything they need to try to make the best decision that's for their family, for their individual self.
What's next, man? What's coming down the pipeline for your programs and the Pirates in general when working with the youth of the Pittsburgh area? I personally think that what you guys do is amazing. Like the camps and stuff that we've all gone to at some points, Michael is like the king. I love watching the videos of Michael like tackling mascots and stuff from these camps. It's always super fun.
I'm really the kid there. Yeah,
right. So what's coming next? What are you guys hoping to do to add to these programs in the coming years?
Yeah, we want to first and foremost focus on what we're doing right now and continue to execute and do those better. But we want to expand. We want to go even further out. I mean, we have Pirates fans that are 2 hours away from the stadium. I think a big part of my looking ahead is trying to tap into those further markets to make sure every kid is getting to experience this Pirates, this Pirates baseball club. So that's a huge goal of mine as we look forward to. Another big component ties into our EL1 facilities, but there's going to be a new. It's not officially out yet, but it's still being ran. But MLBU is something that you guys want to keep in the back of your thoughts, because MLBU is going to take over here shortly, and what that is basically is MLBU is an assessment based program that's going to allow kids to understand where they currently sit as far as development and what they can do to get better, and kind of give them direct feedback via an app that's going to help them understand what they need to train on and what they need to work on, what are the drills they need to do. So that's coming down the pipeline. You'll see some more of that stuff here in the next couple of months, but I'm super excited to unroll that out at our EL1 facilities this year. So again, that's going to be something that I'm really excited about. I think it's going to really take off. That's kind of what the only area that we're not really kind of in currently is giving kids the data and letting them see it and track it day to day. So I'm excited to add that.
That's really cool. And I'm sure that'll be in tune with Diamond Kinetics and everything else, so kids can actually take ownership, hopefully, because there's so much information out there. It's very hard to sift through. Johnny, I want to – yeah. I mean, we could stay on that for a minute. I do want to talk about, dude, how cool is it that you're from Pittsburgh area, you married your wife, you live here, and you're working for the Pirates, dude? Like, that has to be kind of a dream come true, because you've been a Pirates fan your entire life, right? Like, I mean, this is so cool to think, because not many people get to chase their dream. It doesn't work out, but you always fall on top of a big mountain, right? And I feel like you fell onto something really cool, but something that you're also seemingly made for. Does it just seem surreal sometimes?
I'm extremely lucky, man. I every day, I'm grateful to be able to have the position. Like, I think of my job description, I'm like, holy crap, am I lucky, And a big part of that is leadership here at the Pirates. They give me the flexibility to kind of run with my expertise and the work of our, the rest of my team, from my boss Jackie, from my colleague Jake, all of our thoughts and stuff. They're really good with letting us run with it and trusting in us to help develop these kids. It is, for, like you mentioned, it is a dream. Again, I don't take it for granted one bit. Growing up here, always watching the Pirates games. Like, I'll watch all 162 games this year. I never miss a beat. I've been a guy, even when I was playing pro ball, I'd play and I'd go home and I'd watch baseball. I just love it to the core, and it's great. It's great to be able to, share that passion with everyone around. It's awesome.
So cool.
That's great, man. It's funny because I was the same guy, and now Michael and I just get to be that guy together, where we just watch baseball just constantly all the time. It's fantastic.
Let's put it back on you guys. I mean, you guys got to feel like you're the luckiest humans in the world, being able to talk baseball and do it as a career, right?
Oh yeah. It's especially because I get to work with that guy. Wait, I'm gonna point the right way this time. He's over there.
Yeah. Oh no, that way.
He's over that way. Yeah. No, seriously, it's amazing, and I think that's something that people don't understand until you're in it, until you're part of it, is how closely knit the whole Pittsburgh community is around sports in general. And we obviously got to experience it from the Pirates side, but it's not just the Pirates, it's every sports team. And it's one of the things that makes Pittsburgh so different than other cities, is like, you really, once you play there for a day, you feel like you're part of the city. You belong here. You're ingrained there. And other places, it just doesn't have that same feeling, right, Michael?
Oh, you're exactly right. I mean, there's something homey about this place, and it kind of engulfs you. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like you go to a grandma's house, right? And it just feels good to be there. And that's kind of how Pittsburgh is. It's the grandma of all the cities. It's just very warm. It's welcoming, but it also has that tough, gritty feel, which I think all of us can respect and love. But yeah, I feel very blessed to work with both of you guys. And I think at the end of the day, we all have the common goal. is we want to grow, we want to learn, and we want to give our best effort on a daily basis, whether it be to the little kid or the dad or the grandpa that's like, when are we going to spend more money? I'm like, I have zero control. So I don't know. Like, it's not my money. I wish I had some pull there, but like, listen, I don't tell anybody how to spend their money. So I'm just going to step back. I'm going to watch, and then I'll analyze it and help you understand what's going on. But I can't spend any money. But I love that, right? It's such a dynamic here that's special. And I will tell you, till I'm blue in the face, there's not a better sports city. And I hope, moving forward that people can start to see that on the baseball diamond, because just the way when you go in the community, how much they love it and how much they love to hate it shows how much they really, really love it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's exactly right.
We got to get, Michael, I think the first, I probably met you in 22. And I will say you more than anyone has been a mentor for me as far as kind of understanding this landscape. No, seriously. I mean, all of our programs, Michael's kind of touched in some way or another. And honestly, Mike, you elevate it to a whole different level, man. It's, when you bring your energy and stuff, and I learn energy from you. And I think when I see people react to what they do with what you bring to the table, like that fires me up, makes me want to be that guy, because you're what makes the game fun. And I think that's what more people need to do. They need to make the game fun. This game is so freaking hard. And why would we beat ourselves up on it? The chance of you making it to the big leagues are slim to none. Let's freaking enjoy it in this time that we have right now. Why not? Like, why would I want to go home after a game and have a terrible car ride with my dad? It's just like, I hate the thought of that. And honestly, you've kind of brought that light back into the youth space here for me. So I appreciate that a lot.
Humbled by both you guys. Nice words. And you learn from your experiences, right? I took it way too serious at times. I had those bad car rides. And it's just, to your point, it's a reminder, like, it is a game. And Brault, you said something earlier. You go to the ballpark and you want to be excited to go, and how much better you'll get because you're excited to be there. You're literally going to work. Literally you're going to go do a bunch of hard work, but you're enjoying it. You love it. You want more. And that's the ultimate goal. And to be honest, like, I wish we could bring Brault in, because it's all about the people. Johnny, nothing moves in that engine without you pushing forward. Appreciate you saying the kind words, but it's people like us that, hey, we didn't maybe hit the mountaintop that we wanted to hit, but we understand how hard it was, what we can give back. We'll never forget how gracious the game was to us. So we want to give back to that game. We want to give back to the little Braults, the little Johnnies, the little Michaels that are chasing, that little dream that they have. And whether they make it or not doesn't matter to me. It matters what type of human being they end up being, right? Through the process of learning the game, the discipline, and the work ethic.
My question for you guys, you both have played at the highest level, right? And it's like, to a point, I know we all have the same thought of, like, you can't take it too serious, but at the same time, you do have to take it serious to a point to get to the big league level. Like, you got to grind. Like, what's the thought we should be relaying to parents nowadays that are the year-round trainers? Like, do we need to tell them to back it off, or is that what it takes? Is it truly what it takes? I think that's the message that's really hard, that people can't really grasp yet. It's like, well, I understand we should be having fun, but at the same time, like, we got to be working our tails off, maybe to the point where we're hurting a little bit. But like, that's the message I think I'm struggling with the most, is like, to get to the highest level, you do have to work super hard, but can we still keep it as fun as we should, day in and day out? That'd be my question. Like, where is that line drawn between casual fun and like serious enough to make it to the next level?
I'll start here. So I had the pleasure, and so did Michael, of playing for Clint Hurdle, who is full of what we call hurdleisms, which he actually wrote a book about, because he had so many things that really spoke to me. And one of those things that kind of, it's a little cheesy, but the truth is, his thing was embrace the suck, right? That was one of the big things that he wanted to make sure that people understood, is that the game of baseball is very difficult. But the people that get to the major leagues are the people who learn to love being challenged. You want to have that kind of feeling of it's more important when I get to that next barrier that I'm trying to break through. When I finally break through that push through is going to feel so good that all of the work that I had to put in to get there is going to be worth it. Obviously, I think kind of gaming the stuff that people don't like. Nobody likes running. Running is the worst. But when you make running fun, you make it a competition, you play a little flag football, whatever, to get in the conditioning you have to get in, and doing it in a fun way, I think can help. But really, when it comes down to it, it's all about the attitude. It's about the attitude of realizing that the best things in life are difficult to get to. And if you want to get to that point, there is going to be some difficulty and stuff you got to push through. But man, if you're having fun while going through those difficult times, I just think it makes it a lot easier to stick with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said. I'll just add a little bit to that in the sense of like, Johnny, you alluded to it. Every kid's different. So you have to find their why and find their wins. Because if you keep failing, you keep losing, I mean, that sucks, right? And you got to find some way to explain like, hey, this is where you're at. This is what you're trying to do, but in a fun manner, right? So every kid has some skill that's probably going to rise above. Some of them it's going to be intellectual at the beginning. But if you teach that kid at 11 years old to take advantage of the other team, he may be the smallest kid, but he's still in the bases, right? He's always in the right position. So all of a sudden, little Tommy hasn't made an error. He's got 12 stolen bases. He's leading our team. He's the best on-base percentage. And he's literally like the least athletic, shouldn't be out on the field, but you've enhanced who he is. You just have a baseball uniform on. And I think we forget about that a lot. It's like there's a lot of ways to win. We just have to define those wins for the kids. It's not just about batting average, exit velocity. It's like how can, to Steven's point, they embrace the sucky parts. Well, they can do that by winning the parts that they're naturally good at. I think that's just not defined. It's not defined in business, right? It's like Brault is incredible at articulating his point across, period, bar none. He's as good as Rob King is when he's locked in, period. That's period. But like that's nice. A gift. It's not something that just shows up, right? I'm a high energy guy. I understand that. It's like each one of us has an elite skill. What is it? Double down on that. And if you're running at that, you're winning there, you're going to get better here. Just naturally being around the other guys because everybody focuses on the other stuff. But if you can be awesome at this one thing, I use Key Bryan as an example. Articulate in the game, incredible defender. He got $80 million, right? And that's the reality we miss is once you get there, how you stay. You have an elite skill. And some of it can't be seen, but it's an added bonus once you get in that clubhouse. If you're a great human being, great character, all that. So you double down on that for me to keep those kids ultimately engaged, right? I never thought I'd watch a video with an 11-year-old, but he was so almost autistically focused on movement. I did, and it worked. But I didn't think that was, I was like, all right, I have no other way to go. I'm going to try this. It worked. And he loves it. He ran with it, and that's how he learns. So it's just different for every kid, but they have to understand who they are. And I think we just put everybody in a box.
That makes sense. I mean,
I think,
I was going to say, I got one more.
Got?
Another challenge for me here is, I think, I
love this. He just spun it on us, Braulty.
I know, I'm trying to get as much out of this as I can. I appreciate you guys having me on. We got the two big leaguers here. I'm trying to feed off you guys. As you know, right, travel baseball is like at a whole nother level right now. But growing up, I'm sure you guys all played your local little league, right? Your community baseball. Like, I personally think community baseball, right? Even though today, I get it. Today is way different, right? The advanced kids are playing travel ball. The community baseball may not be as good, all that. But I think there's so much value in driving 3 minutes down the street, playing with your buddies, going home, right? Getting some reps in locally. How can we, collectively, Pittsburgh area, how can we, even across the country, how can we make community baseball great again, right? How can we make it something that kids want to get back into while still obviously leveraging the travel baseball aspect of it? But we see communities dying now because all these kids think they're, elevated enough to go be paying thousands of dollars to go play travel baseball. Whereas we're in the same community. Let's travel 5 minutes from each other, play some good baseball, and still get to experience those other things. So my question is, how can we get the focus back on community baseball to where it is right now, or is it even possible? What's your guys' thoughts?
Steven, let me start this one because I bet we'll be on the same page. One, I played both. I kind of outgrew Little League because I was so big, and I think that's the problem. It's like I don't think that's articulated enough. I think this narrative of being an athlete and playing multiple sports, well, there's something to be said is like, once again, going back to those wins. Used to you had to win your league to go to an advanced tournament, right? To be invited.
Yeah.
I think getting all that kind of more out there and educating parents and teams, because like there's a lot of kids that are paying thousands of dollars that aren't playing. When we went and played in these like rec leagues or I guess youth leagues that aren't tournament based, everybody played. It was more of a balance. You didn't have to show up if you had a commitment in basketball or whatever. And I think that's the advantage, right? When you've spent so much money, you're going to show up, you're going to travel, you have the hotels, you have the sick swag, whatever. I think balancing it out to make it understandable, because kids need at bats. Kids need to get on the diamond. And I don't think that's reiterated enough. They spend so much time chasing, whether it's a number on Diamond Kinetics or something, which that's not bad, but there's nothing you can do better for your career in life in general is go see what's happening. Go compete. Did you win? Did you lose? You lost? Well, if you keep losing as a pitcher, right, Steven, you're not throwing strikes, you're not going to be on the mound. What happens in high school, what happens in travel ball, they just don't pitch those kids. So where do they throw? Where do they get that time? That's how I, in my mind, would throw it out there. Steven, take it away. I feel like everybody's experience from our age group, Steven, you're younger than me, Johnny, you're younger, but like we kind of did it different back in the day. And I think bringing that back is important.
I agree. I think a big part of this is realizing that it's okay to also play baseball for fun. If you are somebody who actually has the ability to go and play in a higher level travel kind of feel, then that's great. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but you can do both. And I think being part of your community is it was such an important part of my growing up, that having my dad as my Little League coach. And oh, by the way, you can't get to the Little League World Series unless you play an actual Little League. I mean, you can't, and that's such an amazing experience that some people get to have, that if you're only playing travel ball, you're never going to have that opportunity to push together as a team in that way. So I'll say that first. Secondly, I really do believe that the main reason I went to the college I went to, Regis University, is because I got invites to go to bigger schools, and they all wanted me to redshirt as a freshman, and they all wanted me to be a pitcher only. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go to college to play baseball. That was, I didn't want to go and sit on a bench. I didn't think, one, that there's any fun in that, but then two, I didn't think that I would ever get any better. And so I chose a smaller school that would let me hit and let me pitch and let me start as a freshman. And you know what? It really worked out for me because I needed that time to grow into what I eventually became. And I think that that's something that's lost. And I think Michael brings up a good point in that, is that if you're playing on the super elite team and you get to walk around and say, hey, I play for this team, but you don't actually play, and that's what you want, is just to be part of that elite squad and be around that team, then that's fine. But you're never going to get better in the same way that you would if you played on a different kind of team, a different level of competition, and actually got to play. The most important thing in getting better at baseball is playing baseball. And you can do that on the Little League field with your friends. You can do that in the backyard with wiffle ball. Like, you can do that in so many different ways in your community without having to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. We had a yellow wiffle bat and we had a wiffle ball that you couldn't hit over the fence because my neighbor hated it if you hit the ball into his backyard. So we all really learned how to hit low line drives, right? Those are the things that you learn from playing in a different kind of environment than just what is the right way to do it. And I put that in quotes because, like you said, Johnny, how many guys do we find that played football through all of high school or whatever they did, that they also helped them become better athletes? I think that youth baseball is beautiful. I think that Little League is an amazing, organization that brings people together in a way that travel ball never will, because travel ball, people are playing for a year and then going somewhere else. Little League, you're playing with the same kids as you grow up. I think that builds a different kind of camaraderie that you need on baseball teams. So that would be my answer. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to do it, but I just think getting the message out to kids that it's okay to play baseball for fun and to have fun and to do it in your community. And then you can also do the other stuff if you want, if you're that level, go for it. Hey, Johnny, look, this has been amazing. Can you please plug how families, can get more in touch either with you or the programs and find their ways to be part of these programs moving forward?
Yeah, no, we have like I said, we have a ton of different programs for any type of thing you're looking for, whether it's equipment grants. We got funding for kids who need equipment. We got Fields for Kids programs. We got monies for organization to help sponsor events to generate revenue for the leagues. We do a ton of things that are available for everyone out there. The best way to contact me would be via email. Is my first name JOHN John.Leonard LEONARD @pirates.com, and then just mention what you're looking for, and then I can point you in the right direction via different applications and whatnot, and kind of the process, let it develop from there. But again, reach out to me via email. We want to help you guys. We're here for you. The biggest message for us is that we're here to help you guys. We want to make sure this year 2026 is your best year yet, so don't hesitate to reach out.
Johnny, you are
awesome.
The best. Thank you. Steven, you're the best. This was great. Absolutely loved it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Johnny, so much. And dude, hey, we're gonna have, because now I'm missing out on fantasy camp, and I'm really bummed about that. But I'm gonna get on this because I'm gonna beat you guys. The goal is to beat you guys. Yeah, we're gonna see how that goes. Anyway, thank you for listening here
Football League
on Bucs. Michael McKenry, Johnny Leonard joining us. My name is Stephen Brault. Join us next week. You can get us anywhere you get your podcast, on YouTube at SportsNet Pittsburgh. We thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.